Hello and much love to anyone that clicked on the video. For those that don't know me, my name is Lightning Hearts, and today I am doing a character guide for none other than Chaos, because I feel in On Night for Birth 2, his game plan kind of been promoted to being difficult because of a lot of information that y'all need to know so y'all can pilot Chaos to the highest level. And I feel that Uni doesn't really do a good job at really explaining Chaos nuances, and obviously the lack of guides that you probably see for this game can contribute to that. So hopefully this video is helpful for anyone that's thinking of picking Chaos up. So obviously if y'all do think it's helpful, show me some love down below, man. Jump the thumbs up button, comment if y'all like Chaos, if y'all hate Chaos, y'all want to see more love with this character, let me know. And if y'all really vibe with the content, subscribe to my channel. I do everything other than birth related. I just want you people at the end of the day to get into an amazing fighting game, and that's why my channel is here. So that being said, let's talk about the only puppet character in Under 9 Birth, Chaos. Let's get into it. This part of the video is called the reality of the character. This is where I give y'all my honest opinion of what you're going to be expecting when you fight against people online and in rank battle. People, you are going to see a lot of this. Ozzy getting destroyed in the neutral. If anyone saw my tier list video that I made, I said that Ozzy's game plan is inconsistent, and that is one of the reasons why. Because everything that you do in the neutral can basically get dismissed with a simple 5 frame. And that's really bad when there's a character that relies a lot on this majestic lizard, aka Ozzy. But other than that one change, what makes Ozzy or Chaos good in general? For one, you can kind of think of Ozzy as an annoying ass cat scratching your door trying to get into your room. This is essentially Ozzy. He's really good at annoying people in the neutral, really good at knockdowns. Once you get comfortable with piloting Ozzy and setting up sandwich situations. So basically this character or Ozzy can be a corner wherever he is in the screen once you get comfortable with setting up at the ready. Chaos weaknesses other than the system changes is the fact that he doesn't necessarily have the best of defensive option. He doesn't have a DP, he doesn't have like any sort of armor behind a lot of his moves. Chaos relies a lot on the system mechanics. So indirectly, this character is going to teach you a lot of Uni fundamentals. So that's really the reality of the character. You're probably going to see a lot of this shit happening. You getting chased down by certain characters with good zoning moves and blocking for your dear life once you get yourself into the corner. But other than that, Chaos is pretty good. Hopefully that doesn't discourage y'all from picking up the character, but that is essentially the reality of Chaos. But now that I said that, let me talk about his normals. Chaos has below average to decent normals. They're not really the best compared to other characters in this game, but they get the job done. Now let me start off with his A normals. Chaos has a 6 frame 5A that I think is -2 on block, not bad whatsoever, as well as his 2A being the same thing in terms of his frame data. 6 frame and -2 on block. If you utilize 4A 3 times on block like any other character, 1 2 3 1 2 3, pretty standard. Chaos B normals, he has 5B and a follow-up 5BB. 5B by itself is 8 frame -5. This is good. You can kind of end your pressure right here if you want to, if you're close enough, but his B normals kind of lack in range. As you can see, his 5B, not that bad. And you can also whiff 5BB, so you don't necessarily have to connect it with your opponent. You can whiff this to kind of sneak in the gap. And his 5BB -8, this is punishable if people are really sweaty with their frame data. So let me showcase this for y'all. Get it hide off a counter hit. This is punishable if people really know their frame data. But the best thing about 5BB is that if you smart steer it, you can do it twice. So you can do 5BB, 5AA into 5B again. And you can delay 5BB. You see? For a combo. So 5BB is probably one of his best normals in his arsenal. One of them, his best normal being 5C in my honest opinion. But 5BB, pretty good. His 2B is not really that much to write home about. It lacks in range, decent in terms of frame data. Let me get hide off of reversal action so I can show y'all. It's a 9 frame, -3 on block. Again, it's pretty ass in terms of the reach, but it gets the job done nonetheless. Chaos C normals. Chaos has another additional follow-up off his 5C, which is 5CC. And this is punishable as well, just a showcase. This is, I think that is -13 on block, so they can punish you way harder. So be mindful. And 5C by itself is -7. It's punishable, but I don't think people are realistically going to punish you that much, depending on the range of certain characters 5A. Now, Chaos 2C is his further reaching normal. This, I think, is one of his important read beats, which is 2C into 2A whiff. So 2C has really good range, great for whiff punishment. So if you feel like someone's gonna mash a button on you, this is a good whiff punishing normal, right? You could probably like get a conversion if you link it with Ozzy. So you could get something like this, right? So 2C is a good reaching normal that he has. Now 6C, if you don't count this as a normal, is pretty unique in terms of the range, and it can repel projectiles. So if Hyde is zoning at you, look what happens. It repels, and he can get a conversion if you actually follow up with 6C once more. So you would do 6C to 6C on repel to get that leap animation. So 6C is good. It also can go through EX projectile as well. Let me see. Yes, it can. So 6C is another golden move that he has. So if someone's zoning at you, 6C is your best friend. Now let me discuss his dash normals, Dash C and Dash B. Dash C is good for a knockdown. So let me get hide off of all guard. So if you want some Oki, and your combo like this, great. And Dash C is also good for punishment as well. So let's say, for example, Hyde does like a DP. Let me see if I can find it right here. There we go. So I'll do something like this. Dash B or Dash C. You see? Doesn't really scale your combo damage as much, so Dash C, pretty good. One of his best starters. And it gives you a knockdown at some pretty good Oki as well as a knockdown. Dash B, however, I'm gonna be honest with you, beginner Chaos players, we are gonna throw Dash B in the garbage because we're never gonna use Dash B for combos. We're never gonna use Dash B to anti-air, even though this is supposed to be one of his anti-air options. This move is ass as fuck, and I'm saying that honestly. So even though I can discuss a little bit about Dash B, realistically speaking, you're not gonna see this move for the years of me playing under 9 birth. I never see a Chaos player utilize this move whatsoever. So yeah, it is pretty garbage. Moving on, his J normals, he has J A, JB, and JC. Honestly, pretty self-explanatory. You'll probably use JA to kind of bait out shields when you do assaults. JB, it's alright, and you can do the sequence for a combo or air combo, so it's okay. I don't think JB really crosses up either. It kind of does, but it really depends. You see, it sort of does sometimes. I guess the one move that you will go for in terms of the air is J2C, when he does this little downwards kick as an assault, as well as, I guess, some sort of air pressure, as well as your combo conversion. So J2C is probably your go-to air normal. And I think that's really it. The only thing I'll have to say is that Chaos normals aren't really the best, but there's a reason why that is, because he gets a lot of utility off of Ozzy in general. Chaos is really there to just protect Ozzy, and these normals kind of do well in that department. But moving on, let's talk about Chaos specials. Okay, so Chaos specials, I'm not gonna explain his in-depth nuances yet. I'm only gonna talk about his individual specials first, and then I'm gonna talk about the things that you Chaos players should be doing when you're controlling Ozzy. So in this segment, I'm only gonna be talking about his individual specials. If y'all want to learn more about what you have to do with him in the neutral in the corner, obviously skip forward. Timestamps are in the video. So that being said, let me talk about his 236A. His 236A is a really good neutral poke. I see a lot of Chaos players kind of pressure people like at this range with Ozzy. I think that's kind of bad. 236A has a lot of range as well as reach. So you see, pay attention to this line that's above Ozzy, or Ozzy right above. 236A goes from this, like around this range. So you don't necessarily have to be on people's neck or their groin area. As you can see, you can literally like throw this move out like around this range. So 236A is good. 236B is your anti-air option. So obviously if people are jumping at you, you would opt more for 236B, but please be careful. If you're like right around here, sometimes people jump over it, as you can see. So be mindful of the position with Ozzy, because if you're not positioned correctly, people can jump over him. You can also charge 236B for unique scenario. He goes behind people, and to kind of put this into perspective, if you manage to get a confirm, right, this is the difference between someone that didn't cancel 236B and then when they charge 236B, excuse me. So this is what happens when you don't charge 236B, right? He remains completely mid-screen. When you charge 236B, Ozzy goes behind, and now he's moving towards Chaos. So I want y'all to kind of have this easy concept with Ozzy. If you charge his 236B, he's basically throwing your opponent directly at Chaos. If you don't charge it, he's gonna keep him in the neutral or in the mid screen. So you see, just to keep it simple. You see, that's probably the biggest difference, and just the fact that it goes behind your opponent. Now, Chaos 236C is pretty good for a knockdown. It's not great in terms of pressure. So if you're a Chaos player that's not really comfortable with controlling Ozzy, you can just do this basic sequence, which is 236A into 236B, 236C, and basically get the corner. So if you're really new with this character, you can just do this sequence and almost guarantee yourself the corner. You see? This is great. Now, in terms of pressure, I wouldn't use 236C in that angle because it has a huge gap, as you can see. So you're wasting 100 meters for Ozzy to get destroyed anyway. You'll only use 236C for, again, knockdowns. So if you get the confirm with Ozzy, 236C all the time. Let me see if I can do it with the tailspin. There we go. You see? So Chaos is such a cool character. Alright. Now, his other specials. His 214, which is his projectile. His 214 is good. His 214A, he throws a projectile slightly to the ground. His 214B, he's slightly more in the air. And 214C, he throws 3 projectiles. And you can charge these projectiles in general. So you can do 214A charge into 214B charge. Now, the 214B you can use for Oki, like this. You see? So when people wake up, they have to protect themselves. or respect your fireball. So this is good. You can also do the charge fireballs as a confirm as well. You see? But be careful because it is a strict timing. See, if you do it too slow, it's not going to connect. But yeah, you can charge them. They're good once you understand the at the ready situation. So he has a projectile, which is great for Ozzy. Ozzy 623 is where he does his tail swipe. The initial start of this move has invincibility. So if you feel like someone's gonna mash at you, you can sneak in 623 in terms of your Ozzy pressure, so you can get rewarded. But like I mentioned, it's only the initial startup of that of the move, because once you do it regularly, it gets bodied. So let me show y'all. You see, still gets destroyed like anything else. And it's pretty, like, again, it's really situational. One more time. Like, Ozzy's such a little fragile beast. But yeah, 623 has some invincibility. And 623C, he does 2 swipes. Again, the recovery makes him vulnerable. And you can also charge 623B for 2 hits. Great for knocking down your opponent as well. Let me showcase this. See? This is dope. Now, the new moves that was added in Under Knife and Birth 2, which is his force function, the fire breath, and the backflip. The fire breath is good as fuck. I cannot stress that enough, because if someone gets hit with the fire breath, they literally get flinged or flung to the opposite side of the screen or towards the wall. And if you rebeat in time, you get a conversion, which is dope. Now the backflip, however, you'll use the backflip to again get a conversion because it gives you enough time. Let me see if I can do it again. See, good amount of hit stun. And if someone blocks, you can set up at the ready. So, great way of Ozzy just evading anything that he sees in a neutral. But be careful, I think people can destroy it. So let me use 6B to kind of show y'all. I feel like people can destroy it. Or I can't really show this scenario, but just be careful that Ozzy's still kind of vulnerable in that state. Now, I think one of the things that I'm missing with Ozzy is, I talked about his fireball, talked about his 236A, his B, his C, his 2-2 is what I'm missing. Ozzy's 2-2 is kind of like leaving a landmine for your opponent. So, this is what happens when someone gets hit with his 2-2. Ozzy flings him up in the air for you to get a conversion. And you can also frame trap with this with 236A into 2-2A. This is good. And if you think someone's mashing at you in terms of block strings, you can set up 2-2A, grab them, and you still get a combo. So 2-2A is great for kind of telling your opponent to be pressured, because now you have Ozzy protecting you. 2-2B, he moves slightly forward from Chaos, and you can also special cancel when you do 2-2B for a fake out essentially. So you see the little dark shadow, he moves slightly above, and then you can special cancel. 2-2C is when Ozzy goes directly behind your opponent. This is safe. So if you really want to take your turn back in terms of neutral, you'll throw out 6C, 2-2C, and now set up a pair and do this sequence all over again. So 2-2C, great special move, and a great way for you to set up at the ready. And the one thing I forgot to mention in terms of Ozzy special is that if you hold a button, Ozzy moves forward. I want you beginner players to get in a habit of constantly holding a button and charging. your grid. So learn how to kind of shimmy with Ozzy in general. If you start doing stuff like this will confuse your opponent in the neutral. As you can see with my inputs, I am holding D while slightly releasing and pressing A, so Ozzy can do this little shimmy movement. So please learn how to do this or practice this when you hop into training room. And the one move that I've been showcasing y'all but I haven't explained is At the Ready. At the Ready is a move that was added in Underknife and Birth Clear that allows Ozzy to essentially be a fake wall. As you can see, let me show it one more time. Hyde can't necessarily get away from Ozzy once he's at his opponent's back or once he's behind your opponent. I feel like people can jump behind him though. Let me see if they can. Hold on. Yeah, so people can sort of jump behind Ozzy. And I see a lot of other players doing this, but Ozzy, to get out of this scenario, you can just jump behind. But if you're pressuring somebody, that's not really going to be an issue. But yeah, the special properties with At the Ready is that every special move that I just showcased comes out free, frames faster, and he gets an added move. So 236A, instead of it just being an initial swipe, he would do a slam down first before the swipe. You see? So At the Ready, slam down, then 236A, 236B, slam down, and then he does it. But At the Ready, or you do this when you hold a button, you're holding A, and then you release A and press 2-2. Or you press 2-2 and then you release a button. So this is going to be awkward to do at first. It's easier on hitbox, kind of difficult for arcade sticks in my experience. Might be easy on pad. I'm not too sure because I don't play Chaos on pad, but for me, the easiest way to do this is on hitbox in my experience. And just to reiterate, you hold a button, press 2-2 and release the button. One more time. Hold a button, 2-2 and then release. Then you could go for any supers. And you can kind of buffer this too. So you could do 236A, buffer with the A, hold button, and then release. So you can do this after every single special you do. So please, I know this is going to be awkward to kind of get used to when you play this character, but trust me, it's going to help you a lot when you fight people online. And I guess another thing that I want to explain before I move off of this segment of the video, it's going to be a weird thing for you beginner players to get used to, is that you're slightly going to get your inputs mixed up depending on where Chaos is in the screen. So if you're like right here in Ozzy's, like right behind your opponent's character, you're going to have this weird thing to where you think the inputs are reverted, but it's not. If that makes sense. If Chaos is left side, you have to do the inputs on that side. So 236A will be on that side, right? Then it being the opposite, if that makes sense. Trust me, y'all gonna know what I'm talking about when y'all play this character, but just get used to Chaos being on that side, or realizing that the position that Chaos is in, it doesn't change the inputs for Ozzy. It's still going to be 6-2-3 whether he's in front or behind your opponent. So that's what I wanted to say, because when I picked up this character, that was something that I had to learn. So hopefully it's helpful for y'all. But yeah, those were Chaos specials. Hopefully I covered everything. And if y'all have anything else y'all want to add, or anything y'all want to, or that y'all confused about, please leave it in the comments below. But that being said, now let me talk about the nuances that you're going to be kind of facing when you power Ozzy in certain scenarios. Let me get into it. This is going to be the nuances with Chaos being in the corner. I can't fault anybody for not necessarily understanding how to play this character, because I don't feel like Uni or the game does a good job at really teaching players how to go about using Ozzy. I feel like it takes someone to really explain his benefits, and I want to categorize this into 3 segments. One, him being in the corner, him being in the neutral, and him being at the ready, because there are a lot of things that y'all need to be aware of. so y'all don't constantly kill Ozzy in the neutral or in these scenarios. So the one thing that I don't see you beginner players doing is rebeating with Ozzy. Chaos benefits a lot on the rebeat system because when you throw out a special with Chaos, instead of it being -8, look what happens. If I do 236A and I rebeat it with my A normals, now it's plus. So let me showcase this for y'all. It's -A if I don't rebeat it. Now when I rebeat it, it's +5. If I'm slightly closer, it's +9. So beginner players, please get in the habit of whiffing these normals. And it doesn't have to do with Chaos, but any character in this game. You have to save these normals either the start of your block string or at the end of your block string. So if you're playing a character like Chaos and you run in with your 5A, you need to save your 2A for the end of your block string, because this is what your pressure should look like. 5A, 5A, 5B. You see? Now I'm +9 for me to repeat that whole scenario again. With these normals, with Ozzy, when you special cancel with him. And this goes with any special you throw out with Ozzy. Fire Breath, 2A whiff, +11. 236A into, or 236B into 2A whiff, +9. Tail Swipe whiff, +7. What else? You could do 236A into 2A frame trap and run up 2A. Chaos is unique because he gets a lot of plus frames without really having to spend any type of resources. You can think of Ozzy as a resource because obviously he can get destroyed, but once you get used to rebeating with Chaos, there's a lot of things you can get away with. So look, let me see if I can showcase this. You see? Now, even if your opponent wants to mash there, I got plus frames, so now he gets punished. Now I can just steamroll, set up a pair, and do all sorts of shit. You see? Now I'm even more plus. So that's the pressure you can go for once you get used to rebeat. So that's what you should be doing once you get your opponent in the corner. And obviously you can implement some strike throw to get your opponent to kind of be panicky, if that makes sense. But now let me talk about his neutral game. Now Chaos neutral game is, like I mentioned, pretty inconsistent because of the A normal change. You are stuck between two choices. One is either keeping Ozzy completely full screen depending on the matchup, or A or B, keeping Ozzy right next to you depending if you're fighting a rushdown or not. So the thing that I want you new players to understand is that you, like I mentioned, you can rebeat after you special cancel with Ozzy or after you throw a special. But if you're right here, that doesn't really do shit. So you can rebeat in the neutral, but you rebeating in the neutral is for you to protect Ozzy as much as possible. You cannot allow Ozzy to do the work for you unless you're in a position to where you can cover him. So if I do something like this, right, now I'm covering Ozzy, and I want y'all to kind of understand this with this basic concept. Ozzy is the sword, you are essentially the shield. Ozzy does all the heavy lifting for you, but when he needs you to protect him, you are there to cover him as best as possible. And mind you, don't really be that stressed when Ozzy gets destroyed, because now you don't get your health taken away from him when he does get destroyed. Before the balance patch, you had to stress because you're essentially killing yourself. But in this version of the game, you can be as reckless as you want to be with Ozzy. But it doesn't change the mindset that you want to protect him because he does so much for you. It's stupid not to keep him in the neutral. So his neutral game is that you want to condition your opponent to kind of hit back with Ozzy and to get used to doing a lot of interesting, I guess, scenarios. Don't just keep doing 236A into 236B, you want to constantly switch up your approach with Ozzy. So you would do something like 22B into 2A, 22A. You could do stuff like, let's say 214, 214, 236A, tail swipe. You want to switch up your approach with Ozzy as much as possible. You do fire breath into 22B, 22A, all sorts of shit. Be creative with Ozzy in the neutral. Don't just keep relying on the same scenario. And once you get used to doing after ready, you can do stuff like this. Get them behind you, fire breath, and now they think someone's gonna mash at you. You can do all sorts of shit. So it's neutral game. Takes a while for you to get used to, but the best thing I can really advise y'all is you have to switch it up. Because especially with a character that relies a lot on conditioning, when your opponent sees a flow chart with chaos, it's going to be easy to kill you in the match because you don't have a lot of cheap shit to rely on. So I guess that's my advice. Rely a lot on mixing up with chaos. And actually, let me show y'all a bunch of safe things you can do. So if you feel like someone's mashing, you can do this, right? You can save your 623B at the end, so you would delay it, get a combo, you do fire breath, delay, and then this. You want to kind of sneak it in as late as possible because now, and then come in, he hits again, do whatever you got to do. If you space it out correctly, you can do fire breath, prepare, and then fire breath again, all sorts of shit. So yeah, his neutral game is really different from his corner game. You want to be as close to Ozzy as you can. If you're in certain matches where someone's zoning at you, being right here is not a problem. Like I mentioned, learn how to actually charge your grid and shimmy with Ozzy. So now you're getting free vorpal because now they're worried that Ozzy's right next to them, and then when they hit a button, you can whip punish. But now, let me talk about Ozzy once he's in prepare. Ozzy's at the ready is a unique decision that you Chaos players have to come to understand as you play this character. And the two decisions that you're going to be forced to kind of make is either A, do I go for the sandwich, which I literally have my opponent stuck between me and Ozzy, or do I go for the corner? Because once you hit confirm with Ozzy, you are always damn near close to the corner. So, indirectly, there's two ways you can play Chaos. You can play what people like to call ST Chaos, which is the corner, or Clear Chaos, which is the sandwich. And me personally, I play Clear Chaos because I like it when he bites people's neck when they don't block the left-right mix. You see? Bites your neck, sends you flying for me to kick you in the face. I find weird enjoyment in that. So I play Clear Chaos. But I feel like other Chaos players will advise you to always go for the corner. And in that sense, I'm not really in a disagreement because the corner has a lot more benefits than you sandwiching people. Chaos is really difficult to pilot in terms of his game plan, so why would you risk yourself with someone jumping out your pressure, and people can mash on you a lot if your block string is not tight enough, so this might kill you later on. So I rather you beginner players go for the corner 90% of the time, but if you want to play quote unquote Clear Chaos, it's always there for y'all. You can kind of mix in two of the play styles, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, at the ready helps you a lot to where you can kind of keep Ozzy stationary in the neutral. So if you want to utilize this, at the ready, fire breath is good. At the ready, 22A. At the ready, charge 36B. It's a thing. And go for his left right mix, right, which is this. So again, The main reason why I have this in its own little category of the guide is because it's a decision you Chaos players have to ultimately make. Do I want to sandwich my opponent or do I want the corner? And my truest advice for y'all is always go for the corner, because I'd rather y'all go for true plus frames, like I mentioned in the other parts of this guide, rather than going for some shit that can possibly get you killed, right? I want y'all to be +9 to where your opponent has to respect you, rather than you doing something like this. You got block strings, but now people might mash at you, wherever the case may be. But yeah, after ready is really good. People can essentially destroy this. Great for you kind of confusing or layering your pressure, but I'd rather y'all go for the corner 90% of the time. But yeah, now let me talk about Chaos vorpal trait. Chaos vorpal trait is essential for his game plan. I cannot stress that enough. My beginner players, you have to obtain vorpal with this character, because if you don't obtain vorpal, it's going to be way harder for you to operate Ozzy in the neutral. What is Chaos vorpal trait? You can whiff stuff with Ozzy to where he can start doing crazy shit in the neutral. So you see, I have vorpal right now. And now I can do 236A into 236B. I can do 623, 623, 2A fireball, 2A fireball. This allows you to whiff a lot of shit with Ozzy, like fireball, fireball, 214 fireball, and now you have to be attentive to vorpal with this character. Chaos indirectly teaches you a lot of uni fundamentals, because once you obtain vorpal, this is the shit you can get away with in neutral. When you don't have vorpal, I can't do the shit that I just showed y'all. So let me give my opponent CS vorpal. There we go. I was pressing all the wrong buttons. Enemies vorpal. There we go. You see? I don't have vorpal. I cannot whiff the dumb shit that I was doing as you saw earlier. You need vorpal. And he is one of those characters that if you don't have it, it's going to be really hard for you to get your simple game plan going. Now Ozzy has to be really next to his opponent to special cancel. So please, when you pick up this character, pay attention to the circle that you see in the middle, like right here that I'm on top of. Pay attention to it, because once you have that blue aura around your body, now I can go ape shit in the neutral. 2-2A and get my shit going. So that's his vorpal trait. He's just able to whiff a lot of shit, a special cancel on with Ozzy. So yeah, be attentive to the grid. So you went vorpal, so now this cat becomes an annoying line that your opponent has to deal with. But now, I guess, let me leave y'all a couple of tips and tricks for this character so y'all can learn this character a lot quicker and more efficiently. Alright, so the tips that I'm going to leave you Chaos players with is not anything crazy. It's going to be extremely simplistic. This is the things that I had to do in order to get really good with the character. So trust me, it's not anything mind-blowing. When y'all hit confirming with Ozzy, I want y'all to start off with basic sequences. So one thing that I had to do is 236A to 236B and C. Get the knockdown with Ozzy and go for regular pressure. Once you're comfortable doing this, work your way up. Now I can do 236A into B into 623. I'm comfortable with this. All right, now let me do charge. Let me do it like that. Okay, this is starting to get comfortable. What if I incorporate fireballs and do it like that, right? You see? You have to start out small with this Chaos, especially when you operate Ozzy, and then work your way up. Because there's going to be a weird thing for you beginner Chaos players where Ozzy might be behind someone, you're right here on the opposite side, and you think the inputs are inverted, but because you've been practicing it and training room, it's muscle memory, right? So you're not going to stress as much because you've been constantly in the lab practicing those sequences. another thing with Chaos, and this is the second tip, y'all have to treat him like he's a charge character weirdly enough, because each special you do, you should hold that button. So if I do 236A into 623, I'm holding 623 my B, and then I input 22 and then release, because now I'm safe with Ozzy. I can go for something else. It comes out, Mamoose comes out 3 frames faster, and now if I'm behind my opponent with Ozzy, I can go for some sandwich, or like a left-right mix. Calling it sandwich is kind of weird, I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, and if y'all really want to get comfortable with doing the sandwich scenarios that y'all been seeing through the entirety of this guide, let me show y'all another thing that will probably help y'all in the future. This is something I do, right? I would do 214 236A at the charge, 236B, simple tail swipe. And you see, when I do dash C, I'm holding C and then I release. When you go for this normal, I want y'all to hold it, as you can see with my inputs, and then release with Ozzy. This is the easiest way to get this scenario, right? So I'll back up, dash C, hold, release. So this is another thing I want you to practice. Do this simple scenario, charge, dash C, release. And this is going to be kind of unintuitive for y'all. It was for me when I first started, and I'm on hitbox, so it's twice as easy compared to, let's say, a pad or arcade stick. But this is why it's way important to do this now rather than later. And my final tip for Chaos players is, please do not buckle under pressure with this character. It's okay that Ozzy's getting destroyed in the neutral. You're probably going to see this like 4 or 5 times in a match, so don't get discouraged. You have to be willing to block with this character because he doesn't have the best of defensive options. So, like I keep mentioning, he teaches you under knife and birth fundamentals. Once you learn this character, it's not going to be that hard for you to learn a different character because they're way more straightforward than what Chaos is. So, if Ozzy's getting destroyed in the neutral, the best thing you could do is say, okay, Ozzy's destroyed, let me wait for him to come back and go for some other shit, right? So please learn how to be patient when you're fighting certain matchups and opponents in general. But those are my tips for you Chaos players. Hopefully this guide was informative to y'all. I know I didn't really explain that much in terms of the signal up here with him. To kind of give y'all a quick rundown, the signal just represents when Ozzy's able to get called back. So let me show y'all real quick. As you can see, the signal's gone, and then when it blinks green, you can summon him right back. So that's all it is. But yeah, hopefully this guy was good for y'all. Please tell someone you love them. Y'all have a great day as well as a fantastic week. And yeah, stay tuned into the next one, and y'all take care of yourselves. Peace out, y'all.